Thank you for joining Your Yes is Needed, the Why Not series, continuing with Coach Cara on part 3 because we love the mindset so much. And we're going to tap into the power of intentions. And right before we started recording, I started sharing, like, I don't think most people don't know what intentions are. If you would have asked me what my intentions were 5 years ago, I probably would have gave you an answer that I just pulled out of my ass because I would have assumed I knew what I was talking about. But what I have learned and observed that in order to tap into your intentions, you almost have to sacrifice a piece of you because there's zero ego in intentions. Well, I take that back. Everyone has intentions. They just don't know what their intentions are.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're very, very honest with yourself. I remember a conversation, they were like, why do you work out like the way you do if you don't compete? And the response was, because I deserve to be on a football team that he got kicked out a long time ago or he didn't make. And I'm like, that's your reason why? Like, what? I didn't know that. That sounds so ego. Like, and it was. So everyone has intentions, they just don't know what it is most of the time. And the intentions is your motive, what drives you, what pushes you, what makes you adjust, and why it becomes who you are overall. And so in bodybuilding, I think it's very important you understand why you want to compete and get on stage, because it's not easy. It's there's at one point you become very isolated because it's so hard. And if you're not used to such an adjustment with your food, your lifestyle, your time management, your intentions will be exposed. So
Mm-hmm.
can you share your experience before I push record? Like, some people do believe losing weight will fix everything. And nah, like, I have, before I even got into bodybuilding, I have seen it. I've had the conversations with people. I have people inbox me and can you help me? And I said, if my page has not given you some of the answers that you're looking for, then I may not be the person that you want help from, because I will rip out that band-aid. Because if you think that losing weight will change your whole entire life, there's much more than that. So can you share your experiences about the intent, like why intention is so important, especially in bodybuilding?
Yeah, I've definitely come across that a lot. I've seen people that think getting on stage or achieving this certain physique and these aesthetic goals are going to magically solve all of their problems. Like,
Mhm.
they brainwash themselves into thinking, oh, if I only looked this way, oh, if I had abs, everything would be great in my life. And unfortunately, if they do achieve that level of fitness or physique goal, weight loss goal, they are still empty
Mhm.
when they get there. And then it's like, oh, shoot, what just happened? I got to what I thought was going to fix me and make me whole and make me feel amazing. And I got there, and they don't recognize they're
It's
still
like
taking themselves with them, and they're still there,
it's like
broken
this
and
emotional nakedness that just happened when they
mm-hmm.
get there. I have seen it with my own eyes, which, because I have the privilege of seeing what happens when your intentions are just shitty and you reach a goal, I've seen success taste bland to them. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
people throw up because it's not the goal that it's not the feeling that they were looking for. I've seen people become worse because it's not what, like, it wasn't what they were looking for. It wasn't the answer. It wasn't the trophy. It wasn't something. So I was like, oh hell no, I don't want to be like that. I swear to God. That's why I don't like losing, but I'm like, oh, I rather keep trying than look like that. They
Mhm.
are so fucking miserable. I'll never forget the face expression where it's like, this is it. This is bland, and I'm like, oh God, please, I do not want to look like that. I do not want to feel that. Like
Yep.
I've tapped into like a very egoistic, like I want to be very successful, and then you're just like, man, when do I become happy? And I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't ever want to ever tap into. I never want to put that much work for to never feel happy, or very like I did it. I know there's this saying like um something never satisfied, like always working but never satisfied. Like fuck that mentality. Like yes, I always believe there is levels, and a very limitless level, but you also have to be very happy of tapping into each level to
Mhm.
understand your growth going up to each level. Because if
Yep.
you don't if you're not happy and appreciative of how far you come, you'll be fucking miserable. And
Oh, absolutely.
seen it. I've seen it to the point where I never want to be like that. And so in bodybuilding, I'm on break right now because I want to keep the authenticity. I want to keep the genuineness of reaching these levels without dragging people down to be able to use them as ladders to get to the next level. That's you ain't gonna hear them. You ain't gonna hear a lot of people say that.
Yep. I think one of the really beautiful things about bodybuilding and this journey is that it's so much more than an outward physical transformation.
Hmm.
And I always say that, especially going through my program, because of all of the personal growth and development that's infiltrated into the system, and into the program that people may not necessarily know they signed up for at the beginning, but it's like the bonus at the end where they realize that they had achieved a certain level of personal growth as a bonus that they didn't expect they were in for. And if you're missing that piece of it
Hmm.
and you just want to go from point A to point B and get that outward transformation, and you're already empty inside and your intentions aren't pure of what you really want from it and need in your life, and you think that's the saving grace and that's the life raft you're hanging on to, um, there can be a huge letdown. Or on the flip side, it can be this really amazing journey if you recognize that the journey is actually the prize. And
Hmm.
you know, of course, winning is great and we win a lot on the team, and who doesn't love that? But the point of it isn't for me to just rack up all these trophies for my clients. I actually want to see them have that personal growth and experience what digging deep means for them and reaching those new levels, and recognizing how powerful they are and opening their mind up to these possibilities that actually transfer over into other parts of their lives beyond bodybuilding.
Right. So I've shared with you my intentions. Like I'll give you an example. Like if someone doesn't understand like what intentions fully means, like I shared with you my intentions about what happens when you lose 135 pounds naturally. A lot of people are like, well, what happened to your skin? And so when we have intentions to where we want to hurry up and prove people wrong, or we want to use it to please people, we we get into a position where we are in a hurry. And when we are in a hurry because we're feeding our ego to prove something, we tend to tap into things that may be more harmful than helpful. And so um I told you my goal was I want to tighten up more, because when I lose weight, I look like a bag of sand with no sand. And so most people, um, that have a very different intention than me will want to cut all the loose skin off and keep going from there, which is fine. That is your goal. But you're not going to meet a lot of people that are willing to gain 10 to 15 pounds to fill in more, go run for a whole entire year to tighten up more while building to I don't want to say avoid getting surgery, but to find another way naturally to do things,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I'm not in a rush. I don't have nothing to prove. I don't have nobody to please. And so this is my intention to show that you can live a life naturally, no matter what it may have looked like to go. That is my intention. That is my goal. There is no deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And I've shared that with you because I'm like, I guess I'm gonna be bodybuilding for the next 2 years. I feel like this is a trap. But and so that's why, like, but I was like sharing this with my friends, like, how many women do you know are willing to gain 15 pounds to be able to fill in, to be able to tighten up? Like, you're not gonna, because most of us at one point I was obsessed with the scale.
Mm-hmm.
And so the scale determines their overall success. Their scales determines their personality. Their
Yep.
scale determines their mood. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh, fuck that. Like, I'll put 15 pounds on. Let's go ahead and start building again. And so a lot of people are, and I said, nope, I don't want to be like that either. So I have a check, I have a list of what I don't want to be like, because it just looks so fucking miserable. And for the sake of what? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the only thing that's upset in my life is my pants. My pants are the only my pants are cussing me out right now. But like, I'm okay with that. Like, I have a goal. It has pure intentions behind it. I have a mission. I'm not in a rush. And I shared that with you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I said that you're going to be my coach, because if you were a coach who was like, no, Desi, like, you're making me look bad, I would be like, bye. Like, it's not about you. And so, but you're like,
Right.
okay. And so when I told you that I was going to the Arnold's, and you're like, oh, okay. I go, Cara, I'm doing NPC and I'm going something on the stage in the Arnold's. And you're like, okay.
Well, and because, like you said, it's not about me, it's not about my journey. And you have a very refreshing outlook and a very refreshing mentality that unfortunately just don't see a lot in the sport of bodybuilding, where everyone is about the rush and I want to look a certain way, and they're stuck in that comparison mode. They want to look like whoever they're seeing, all over Instagram. And so they don't know what that person did to get there. And so they're looking at themselves, feeling badly about themselves because they don't have that look. And perhaps that person is, not natural and has had surgery and done whatever. And again, which is totally fine. I think every woman should make whatever choice they want for themselves. And the problem, though, is when somebody is not appreciating the journey, appreciating that things take time, having that patience, and wanting to do that step by step. We're always in this like mentality now in this society that everything has to be instantaneous, instant
Mm-hmm.
gratification, and it's that's why I say it's very refreshing to see that. And then, in regard to your goals, like I said, it's not about my journey or my plans or me racking up trophies. It's about really helping you and my clients on their individual journeys, whatever that looks like for them, helping guide them, to reach these new heights, whatever that looks like for them. It's not about me and me providing that for you.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that. Whatever your choices, right? Like, I always tell folks, I'm not against surgery. I'm not against like steroids. I'm not against it. I don't want to do it because my intentions and my reason is I felt like I'm given a second chance with my body. Like as much damage I have done to it with all the alcohol, with all the fast food, reaching almost 300 pounds, like, and like deteriorating ACL, back pains. And I just feel like my second chance was given naturally. And so I want to continue the natural process to see how much further I can go naturally since I've gotten this far naturally. Is
Mhm.
it is it tempting with like how my skin sometimes looks when I start cutting to like, you know what if I just start, what if I just have surgery, or what if I just go, like what if I just start using steroids, like maybe I'll get there faster. Then I'm like, what's your intentions? And that's why I believe the power intentions has to be studied all the time. It's not just a moment of,
Mhm.
I think your intentions get tested all the time. You got tested when I first joined the team. Like,
Yep.
so you're like, if your intentions are real and they're legit, you will get tested. And
Mhm.
I honestly think it's a good thing. Again, it's one of those things I don't like, but I think it's healthy to be tested because the real you will show out. And so
Yep.
since you have known me, my goal, and you tell me every prep, Desi, I know you want to stay as natural as possible. Yes. And that will continue to be the goal because I believe and I have a dream and I have a vision that I will get my pro card in the most natural way possible without having surgery or taking any kind of steroids. I see it. I'm just not in a rush for it.
Mhm.
So I know that's going to take time. Like I said, I was fat for 7 years. I don't expect a transformation in 2 years unless I'm taking shortcuts.
Yep.
That's it. So I just want to make that clear. I'm not against any of it, but I believe you have to have good intentions for why you want to do it so that you are not harming yourself versus helping yourself.
Yep. A lot of people are willing to go to that quick fix and take that shortcut, but unfortunately don't necessarily weigh the after effects or weigh the repercussions of them. And also, it's not really spoken about. So, you know, it's difficult to see people wanting to reach point A and to point B and just jump light years ahead instead of taking that route and giving your body the time it needs to do it naturally. But it's something that, again, there's no judgment. Every woman should have her own, her own choices to make. But
Mhm.
I do wish that there was more information available and people speaking up about the harm of cutting those corners and what can happen to you, because there are a lot of side effects. There's a lot of things that I've seen go wrong. There's a lot of people I know that have gone that route that didn't even know things could happen, that they end up seeing for themselves, and then it's too late. You can't undo it.
Mhm.
So it would be nice to, have more people speaking up and have more real truth and real information out there for women to be able to gauge. Because let's be honest, if someone looks at it and they go, oh, okay, I can go the natural route and it's going to take longer. I'm going to have, and
Mhm.
not to take anything away from anybody, if you are taking steroids and you're a woman, you're using PEDs, you still have to work. You still got to
Mhm.
lift. You still got to eat right. You still are doing the work. But as a natural athlete, the work needs to be so much more on point, because you're not going to recover as fast. You're not going to be able to push as hard. You're not going to be as strong. You're not going to be able to get as much work put into that work week because your recovery is lower, because you're going to need more rest days. Your nutrition has to be so on point because it's that nutrition that's going to help recover the muscles and build the muscles. And it's harder to get as lean. And so there's all these things stacked up. Who's going to choose that really, right?
Right.
Oh yeah, that one sounds better to me. Or take, take these drugs, get there faster, jump light years ahead, and everyone will usually go, oh yeah, I'll take that. Unfortunately, I think that there's a lot of people that end up doing that probably regret it after. Like I said, those people don't come forward and say things, and there's just not a lot of information about it. But I think that it's really important for you to speak about your story and why you're choosing to do that, and to show the possibility, and to show that there's a lot of value in doing it that way.
So from the this is where I want to lead you to with that. So most people don't speak up because it backfires from those closest to them. And so I wanted to get into that because it's hard to keep your intentions when those around you, especially your family or friends, are questioning why you're doing and questioning like your new habit, your new lifestyle. Why are you always working out? And then you're like, and you're still holding on to this intention, like, I want to better myself for this. And yet the next test, the biggest test, the hardest test is those around you questioning every move you make. And I know that you mentioned that you you had said that your relationship with your mom as you got into bodybuilding, and I don't know about you, but for me, it's so hard for me to comprehend that because I'm like, I couldn't even walk a half mile without my feet hurting. Like, what do you mean? Like, what's the problem? Like, I was drunk all the time. Like, so it is so mind-blowing the amount of rejection that is like that you have to take for keeping this intention. Not only do you have to go through this process of doing everything naturally and doing the hard thing, and now you go into the other hard thing, which is your family and your friends. And so I know it can seem like one big jump to the other, but I believe that you need to understand both, because yes, you're going to be isolated all the time. So you're going to be around people in the industry. They're going to have something to say, maybe or maybe not. But then here comes the other side of the intention where it gets really tested is by those closest to you.
Yep.
That will always be a to me.
Yeah, it's really shocking how we would think that we're making these moves towards a better, healthier version of ourselves, and what we're doing seems like in a positive light. But then others that are close to us that we care about and that care about us can almost like attack it. And it's interesting human behavior and how that plays out, where somebody is not doing something, so they don't understand it, and then they kind of start attacking you for it, which makes you question and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're not supporting me in this. And it's kind of like it's interesting. I love this story. Like, have you heard about the crabs in the bucket?
Yes.
And so if you put some crabs in a bucket, you would think that they might be able to crawl out. But what will happen is that the crabs that start to crawl out, the other ones will actually pull them back in. And so the people around us want to pull us back into their level and don't want to see us elevating ourselves. It's a reflection. It makes them uncomfortable because they're not doing it. And I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it with a lot of clients I've worked with. I know you've shared many stories and also told a lot of the background of some of your athletes and what they've experienced with that as well. And
I think it's a damn shame that there's a certain period where with someone's consistency where I can nail down to where the shit talking is going to start. And I said, hey, just a heads up, what's about to happen next is this, and this, and this. And they're like, well, and then they're like, how did you know? Because unfortunately, insecurities never fails. Like it's a thing that's very much alive. And so I think it's a damn shame that I can pinpoint when it's about to happen. And so you're like, wow, so you're not only are you disappointed, but and you still have to, in spite of, hold on to your intentions so much that even in spite of the lack of support, that you hold on to what you believe in and keep going. And that's why I don't think many people understand what intentions are. I think
Mhm.
it changes every time something around them changes. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not how it works. You hold on to it no matter what's going around you. Like, so, and it's crazy because it's the closest ones to you that makes you question who you really are,
Yeah. Oh,
especially after
absolutely.
a life change.
Yeah. They'll be like, are you still doing that thing? Or after a competition, like, oh, good, you're going to go back to like normal life again. And you're like, well, what's normal? Oh, like drinking alcohol and eating junk food and putting this, really over processed, like horrible, toxic poison food inside of you is like normal, what they want to see you go back to, because it makes you more like them and they're more
But
comfortable around that.
right, so one of the things that I have learned is that it whooped my ass for a long, long time. I kept saying like, why isn't anyone happy for me? And people so easily say, ah, fuck them, don't give 'em-" and I'll be like, I can't receive that for you because you give a fuck too. I've seen you. I've seen you react. So that's not the answer. And I've seen people love to use the word humble a lot. And I realized because their version of humble means silence. And that's not always the case. And so I'm like, man, and I realized one day it's their insecurities that's bothered. It's
Mm-hmm.
not
Yep.
me. It's your insecurities. And so
Yep.
you're hiding behind this, you're hiding behind that to offload onto me when it's really your insecurities. So, um, even though it's part three, we got like 7 minutes. with with the power of intentions, what would you best describe what the power of intentions is? How effective has it become into your life? Why would you recommend it? And what is your intentions?
Oh my gosh, all of that in like a
Ah!
few minutes. Oh my God.
we'll
That
start
was
off.
a
We'll start off with how effective is the power of intentions
it
for
is
you?
so effective for me. It is so effective. We talked about this earlier, and I think this is actually off air. If we had or was this on air? Now I don't remember. So many great conversations we've had about like we wouldn't even have recognized what that meant 5 years ago or
No,
something.
I wouldn't have.
And it's so powerful once you recognize what the possibilities are and setting those intentions and then backing it up with action and having the pure intentions in your life. um
If you
it's
were to nail down your fifth why, like Cara, because what I've learned, you're gonna get a lot of shit for what you believe in, like a lot of shit. And and the there's the universe, the bad universe wants to push you off from the good universe. But what is that fifth why that holds you on so tight that no matter what, it still makes you stand tall?
the fifth.
Yeah, because everyone has their five whys. Like mine, no matter what, no matter, like I have different reasons, but the fifth why
Mm-hmm.
is I believe that you can live a life without medications because it was the only thing that was offered to me for help. And I believe there's a better way. That is mine for 3 years strong, and I will run with that till the day I die. That is what pushes me, that's what encourages me, that what makes me stand strong. It's what I this it's what I do. What is your strong why?
So, man, that's such a deep question. You know, I fully believe that everybody needs a purpose in their life. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be so a purpose, their why, like everything has to be something that's so embodied and so strongly felt. You know, because it's interesting when they say as we get older, if we don't have a purpose in our life, we die very quickly. The ones that have
It's
longevity and
there's no fulfillment.
exactly, yeah. And so to me, identifying that purpose, which to me really is to lead women to achieve their greatness, I don't think I'd feel satisfied without it. If I was doing this and had just one client, I'd still feel really fulfilled
Yes,
because
I would feel the same way.
I'd still be, you know, just
Serving your purpose.
yes, serving and helping in some way. So I have such a very deep heart of service and wanting to help women because I was in such a dark place, and because I don't know how I ended up there. It's a scary thought to know how easy that can happen. And to know that I can shape and mold my children in an amazing way by being authentic and true to myself and fulfilling my passion and serving others. So just having them be able to see that has been amazing because they used to see a version of me that was very beat down, that was very hopeless, that had no purpose except to try to please somebody else and had no passion in their lives at all. So those are, I don't know if I even answered any of the questions, but
no, you
those
said
are things that are very important.
you just believe that there's a better way for women to live a better life. And so that is your calling, your purpose, and that is your fulfillment. And like you said, even if you had one client, that's how I feel. Like you read my book. I said if everyone left, it didn't matter. Like I did exactly what I was supposed to. And I'm not looking for anything in return because the fulfillment is the greatest return there is. And
Yep.
so and we have like 2 minutes left with intentions. um what is your what are the routines that you do to keep your intentions alive? That's a great question. I just made that up
Yes.
right now.
Way to throw me on the spot with a minute. Oh man, my routines. So I fully believe that we never stop growing and we never stop that journey of personal development. So I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly absorbing new information and learning better ways to reach people, to serve them, to help them. So I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly listening to podcasts, and also looking deep within myself. I've been on a healing journey because I used to think that I could take all of that hurt and that pain and that trauma and lock it into a box and just shove it down deep, and it would be like, you know, the treasure buried deep in the ocean that nobody ever gets to, and it's fine there. But I didn't realize that it's just seeping poison into me by staying there. And so I've incorporated a lot of things that are helping me to release that trauma and to heal and to continue to bring myself into my highest alignment, my highest self. And part of that is also creating really strong boundaries, having amazing people around me, and making sure that there's nothing that's a distraction or lower level vibration bringing me down and, sucking me back. It's always like moving forward.
Yes, that is the perfect way to end this podcast. So thank you for joining all three of them on